So when we started dating, I was actually in college, and because I was okay, I got to college. I entered as a law in law. No, I finished. I graduated high school in law, but I didn't really like it. So when I entered college, my brother was doing engineering. So I'm like, man, you know what? I'm gonna try engineering. I entered college as an engineering major, and then after the first year, I took a few engineering class. I didn't like them, so I eventually doubled back and I switched to business. And then from there, I enjoy business a little bit more. It made more sense to me. And then at that time, I was working at my first job ever was at Foot Locker. I was working at Foot Locker at a very young age. My first job was I was about 15. I started working at Foot Locker, and then I worked that all the way to college. And then from when I got to college, I switched my major to finance and business. Then I'm like, okay, I'm in college. You know, they told you when you're in college, you attend seminars. They tell you, well, you got to start looking to getting some type of work part time and within your field. So by the time you graduate, you get your feet in the door. So by the time I was like, I think a sophomore, my sophomore year in college, I went to the bank. I started working at the bank, and then my goal was to eventually go to the bank and within finance and work my way through it. And then that was the goal. And until like the business ideas started coming in. As you're taking business classes, you getting business ideas. It started early for me, more so like I used to collect shoes. And then one thing about if all my guys that's into shoes, sneakerheads, or if you know about that type of lifestyle, if you did live that lifestyle,
hundreds.
Of shoes. I used to collect.
Pairs upon pairs.
Bro, I used to collect shoes, and then in the Caribbean household, I'm bringing all these shoes in, and my parents are like, "Bro, you bring one more shoes to this house, I'm picking you out." And I'm just like, you don't understand. This is like money, All right. And then I used to just buy shoes, sit on them for a long. Sometimes I sell, I flip them, bring money in, and then that's kind of like was my first kind of like dig into business. And eventually, in college, I got into fraternity. I pledged when I was in college also. And then from there, I started, getting involved in throwing parties and seeing the incomes from doing parties. And I'm like, bro, this is good. Like, I started understanding, like, well, your output, if you put something out there and you do your own work, you could be successful by doing stuff yourself. Like, that's kind of like my early years in regards to understanding those type of things. And then eventually, I had a friend of mine from high school that me and him growing up, we was real friends, we was cool friends, and then eventually we just started doing some stuff in the side, like photography. We was just messing around with different stuff. We started doing a photography thing on the side, and then eventually, as we're doing photo shoot for people, we used to be heavy into fashion. I used to collect shoes. He used to be into shoes, and sometimes we will style people and stuff like that, and help people out with that type of stuff, and then we'll shoot. And eventually, he pitched me like, bro, like we should start this clothing thing, bro. And I'm like, bro, wait, what you thinking? He's like, man, this, that, we could do this, that, and the third. And I'm like, oh, yeah, bro, that sounds good. Let's try it. And we got together, and we started trying. Our first start in the business of clothing was actually started from we started going to thrift stores because we had the money at the time. We was college students, So I was in college. I didn't make much money at that time. I was working at the bank part time, 20 hours, 25 hours a week, and then going to school full time. And then he was working a full time job, but he had bills to pay. He was living by himself. He got mortgage, he got a rent to pay, all that stuff. So he don't have that much money just to be laying around. Right. So we started small, and then there was a lot of stuff we didn't know. So we started going to the thrift store, bro, just getting pieces. Vintage. And then we started, and that's at the time, vintage pieces was very hot at the time. People were seeking out vintage pieces. So we started getting heavy into vintage pieces, and then we started making money, and then we started flipping, and then we created our online business, and then we just started. It started taking off, and then from there, it just opened. It just ballooned, bro.
So this was an online business. So at first you was buying the thrift, you selling. It was in person, but then you opened it up to where now you were doing the same thing, still buying the same pieces from the thrift store, but then now you're able to actually sell them online.
Exactly.
At that time. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And you still were working with this partner at this time. Now this is in college. So now you're dating your future wife at this time. Exactly. This is going on, right? Yeah. Now both of you were not not fully committed to the Lord at this time, correct?
Nah. Well, I mean, bro, like the church, like our. I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, I try to think about it, man. Like, religious upbringing. I mean, I grew up in a, if you know Caribbean household, man, religiously, man, strict religiously, man. I mean, they culturally liberal, but they are spiritually conservatives in a Caribbean household. I mean, they don't believe in drums in the church. They believe in they just, whatever you think about conservative, they believe that within the church settings in a sense. But then within that, also within the church setting, they still allow some type of liberal aspect into it in regards to
culture.
Because of culture, kind of like the liberation gospel. And you come from the Caribbean, but immigration is a big thing for you. Prosperity is a big thing for you. Again, the American dream is a big thing for you. So all these things are kind of like promoted a lot heavily, and then being also grew up in we at the church I grew up when it was probably I guess you call it in regards to Seventh Adventism, you call it a mega church in a sense, because it was a big church. And, we had a youth church and an adult church. The adult church had over 1,000 members.
Wow, that is a very big church.
Yeah, youth church probably had maybe 200 250 youth on there.
And there's about 300 people outside every Saturday.
Outside, parking lot, just hanging out in the parking lot. And then
parking lot praise.
Parking lot praise. So that's kind of like my religious background growing up. And then I mean at home, my parents were have very involved in church and stuff like that. My dad was elders and stuff like that, so very involved in church and God. We devotion every morning. My parents would wake us up at 5 o'clock in the morning, have devotion every night. Then we pray, go to school, stuff like that. It's not that it wasn't there, but it was just not. It wasn't sticking for us. And then there's a lot of Caribbean household. When you raise up Caribbean kids in America, bro, it's difficult, because the parents try their best, but there's a cultural clash, because the kids are growing up in a like a African American or hip hop culture where the parents grow up in a totally different culture, and then there's a clash there, and then usually that caused a big I guess bumping heads with the parents and the way they're trying to raise the kids up. So I mean, nothing was really sticking for me religiously, man. That's just the best way it is. I wasn't really being taught. There wasn't teaching nothing at my church that would do anything for me. I mean, maybe they were, but maybe I wasn't. It wasn't in my interest. I didn't care, My was like, bro, I come to church because my parents told me to go to church, and then Saturday night I'm on the streets. I'm on the street with my friends, and then we partying, we drinking, we just doing our thing. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is.
And it's so interesting though to hear that, because it always makes me think about how God is literally working on us, throughout all this time. Because even as I think about you guys now meeting in college, and you went from having a love for sneakers, for shoes, right? You saw an opportunity there, you buying specific pairs, sitting on them, and then resell them. Then you moving from that, getting a job at the bank, and that job allowed you to then be able to take some of those funds with your partner to actually start buying some clothes from the thrift store, right, and start reselling. Then you open it up online. But in your mind at that time, you don't know yet where God is leading you and what he's actually going to open the door for y'all to do in the future. So it always just amazes me to see that, and even gives me encouragement, right? When we see, for example, even youngsters in our church that are in certain positions and situations that they are in, even right now, currently, because God has a plan for them. He's even using and preparing them for something that he desires them to do. If they will hear his voice when he calls them out, that all the things that they've learned, he's going to then use those things that they learned in order to then actually do something for the benefit of him and his people and the work of the gospel.